Let us turn to the absolute uncertainty. I know in an algebraic function, uncertainty is epsilon slammed off to the right. That doesn't work at ECRI.
No.
How do you measure uncertainty right now?
Well, there's the headlines and trying to get inside someone's head and what are they thinking. And, that's interesting to kind of do as a game, but we wouldn't do that as a way to make decisions. For decisions, we're going to be focusing on the cyclical dynamics inside a free market-oriented economy. Look, we think we know we're in a free market. We think we know that this has been going on for the better part of 120 years and that we have a framework for that, which is our cyclical analysis. And so we can look at regime change over a long period of time. And we would argue that now something's happening, right? Mm-hmm. Something is changing. After the dust settles, it's going to be different than it was just a year or so ago. And since models are built on past patterns, they're having a really tough time. Everybody who comes on says, I don't know what's going on. I need to watch the headlines, what happens from Washington, whatever. We don't play that game. Instead, we're looking at what are the cycle indicators saying, because they did get the direction correct during the panic of 1907, which led to a structural shift, including the creation of the Fed. They did get the cycle direction correct, and sometimes counterintuitively, around the Smoot-Hawley tariffs, which were huge. And then more recently, the Nixon shocks in the early 70s, where a lot of counterintuitive things happened, even though the big picture we can kind of get a sense of, is it good or bad? When is it going to be good or bad? These cycle indicators are quite helpful. And today, what they're saying is the same thing they were saying before Liberation Day. There's a slowdown. Now, I can get into the nuances of that, I think, which are quite interesting. The weakness is going to be, I think, more centered in the service sector than in the manufacturing sector, which is going to hold up for the time being. And then the other thing is this whole stagflation discussion, right? And you hear it, and you guys have been having it. Everybody's having it. I'm okay with the idea of the stag part, but inflation, no. There's not a cyclical run-up happening right here.
So yesterday the CPI, blue button, thank you.
Yeah.
The CPI yesterday came in, kind of a little bit benign. I think a lot of people are characterizing. We'll see how the PPI comes in at 8:30 here today. So it doesn't appear, at least yet, we're seeing tariff-related inflation come into the economy. But a lot of folks are telling me just wait. Just wait till later in the year.
Oh, no. Look, if you force in 10, 20, 30, whatever the number is, step function rise, okay, that'll happen. That's just math. But what happens in terms of the inflation cycle? Does it spread? Are we in an inflation spiral? That's what we're interested in. And when you look at cyclical work, there's no there yet.
Okay, very quickly here. How do you fold currency into the work of economic cycle? It's difficult, but the fact is I got weaker dollar this morning, got euro printing 116.
Yeah,
How do you fold that into your study?
Look, it's an issue. Okay, and the math is that the weaker dollar will introduce some inflationary, that's a driver of inflation. But the question is, what are all the drivers doing, right? It's not just currency. There's a lot of other drivers of inflation. And right now, and if demand is slowing, and we are in a slowdown.
And real estate as well.
And you've got real estate. So I'm looking at services. I think that's the front end of where demand slows. Construction, that sector, demand is slowing. Manufacturing, it'll slow, but it's not the leader.
Lakshman, thank you so much, particularly those comments on India. Lakshman Achuthan, he is co-founder of ECRI, Economic Cycle Research Institute.